That is Judge Chris Jafta in the Constitutional Court handing down today's judgment. Well, Zola Majavu is the lawyer who represents Advocate Nomgcobo Jiba. He's on the line for you now. Zola, good evening to you. Thank you for your time tonight. Do you see this ruling as a victory for your clients?
Well, firstly, it came as absolutely no surprise because what the unanimous bench of the ConCourt found is precisely what we argued. It's contained in our heads of arguments. Those are the submissions that we made. Yes, insofar as, the ConCourt ruling in our client's favor, it is indeed a victory. However, it's a victory that she receives, with mixed feelings, in a sense that ordinarily, once the apex court has spoken, this should have been the end of the matter. But as you would know, while we were awaiting argument before the ConCourt, there was a parallel inquiry instituted by the President in terms of Section 6 of the NPA Act, which was chaired by Justice Moforo. That came and went, and it concluded by recommending to the President that my client was not fit to hold office and that she should be removed from her position, which recommendation the President had accepted and summarily dismissed her, notwithstanding the fact that the parliamentary process referred to in that very same report in terms of the Act is yet to unfold. But be that as it may, we now hold instructions to await the finalization of that parliamentary process, and thereafter, depending on the outcome of that process, we will then proceed with a review of the Moforo inquiry's report. And obviously, this will be ventilated in the High Court. If our client finds no joy in the High Court, she would go to the FCA, as she is perfectly entitled to. And again, if she finds no joy, we'll be back in Braamfontein in the ConCourt. And if the ConCourt then finds against her in the review application, that's pretty much game over, and she will have to accept the court's ruling and move on like all other citizens should.
Okay, so it seems then, critics of Advocate Jiba might just say she's trying to drag the process out. We've had the Mokoro Commission of Inquiry. You'll know all of the public commentary around this. There are various Supreme Court of Appeal judgments in which she's heavily criticised for some of the decisions that she made. If Parliament makes a decision, shouldn't someone just accept Parliament's decision in a case like this?
But why she should? Why she should? She is perfectly entitled to subject herself to the rule of law and not to be tried by the court of the media. You, as opinion shapers, are actually pushing that particular narrative. What is wrong in her subjecting herself to the rule of law, like all other people are doing? And if the courts rule against her, she will have to abide by that ruling. You seem to be ignoring the fact that the ConCourt has restated the position of the FCA, which itself found absolutely no merit in the fact that there was misconduct against her flowing from those judicial criticisms. It should matter not, as a matter of law, what the public thinks out there. What should matter is what the courts say as the final arbiters of this matter. If the ConCourt had ruled against her, it would have been game over and she would have accepted that. So I think it's a bit unfair of you to expect her to abandon her rights at the altar of media commentary. That is not how our constitutional democracy works. And my instructions are to pursue this matter all the way up until the ConCourt. And if she loses there, she loses. It's her right to do so.
All right. So just clarify me here on what you're saying tonight. Are you saying that she is going to appeal the findings of the Mokoro Commission no matter what, or only after Parliament makes a decision? So only if Parliament...
She's not going to appeal. That's not what I'm saying, because an appeal is not the appropriate process. She is going to review that.
Sure, but the question still stands. That's the question that I'm asking, really. Is she going to challenge the Mokoro Commission findings in court, or is she going to wait for Parliament to make a decision first?
She has to wait for Parliament first, because remember, the Mokoro inquiry flows from a Section 12.6 process in terms of the Act. And that particular process is not yet complete. It will only be complete once Parliament has spoken. And assuming that Parliament concurs with the President, then she will engage the legal processes to which I have referred. It would be foolhardy to seek to review a process that itself has not been concluded. That is why I am saying to you that we will only consider a legal position once Parliament has spoken. Let's not preempt what Parliament may decide, but if it does decide against her, we would then proceed with her instructions to take that report on review. Whether we succeed eventually or not is another story.
Okay. Advocate Jiba was found by the Supreme Court of Appeal to have not conducted herself properly in matters relating to the Zuma spy tapes, the decision on whether to prosecute Richard Mdluli, then in the Johan Boyson case. Is it the position of your...
That is not correct. That is factually incorrect. As an opinion shaper, go back to the judgment.
I have read the judgment several times, Zola. You know that.
Look, my brother, I'm not going to debate that with you. All I'm saying is that the courts have spoken. It is up to you as an opinion shaper to draw your own conclusions. And let South Africans draw their own conclusions. I'm giving you objective facts. I cannot agree with you just because that there has been a narrative that is punted in the media. To the extent that she was criticized by the courts, that was the reason why the matter went to the High Court and she was struck off, precisely because of that. The matter went to the SCA. The SCA overturned the lower court on all of those criticisms. The ConCourt has now also come in her favor. What is so difficult to appreciate about that very objective fact?
Zola, if you'd let me finish the question, then perhaps we'll get there. I mean, you're her lawyer. Is it your instructions that none of the decisions she made were political decisions? And I'm saying that because you'll be well aware that that is the claim made by her critics. Never mind my role or whatever view you have of myself. But her critics have made that argument against her. People have made that argument against her. I want to give you the opportunity here on the SABC News channel to basically respond to that claim. So are your instructions that none of those were political decisions?
Let me answer you. One, my instructions are that she did not. But it matters not what her instructions are, because all of those allegations made by her critics were tested in a court of law, and the courts have decided, because these critics flew from the judicial criticisms. Now, to the extent that as we speak, there is a standing ruling by the Mokgoro Commission or the Mokgoro Inquiry. We respect that, and that is why I am saying to you, the only way in which you can have a right vindicated as against that report is through a review. She may or may not succeed, but we're not entitled, we cannot control what critics say. Tomorrow, if people criticize Stephen Grootes, that does not mean Stephen Grootes should be disabused of his constitutional rights. That's the point I'm making.
Zola Majavu, thank you very much indeed. Do appreciate the time tonight. The lawyer representing Advocate Nomgcobo Jiba.